Today on Knife Banter, we're talking about some ESEE knives that we think you need in your life.
Like this one.
Let's talk knives. What's happening, everybody? Today on Knife Banter, we're talking ESEE knives. I got Kurt with me. Say hi, Kurt.
What's up?
So he's got some knives, I've got some knives, and we're going to bring these knives to you guys. Before we start, a little note about ESEE. So I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a company, a knife company out there that has more in-field experience than the people at ESEE do. They're constantly out in the field testing knives in real-world survival situations and then bringing that knowledge to you guys in the form of products. Also, their warranty is absolutely insane. It's basically you break it and then they will replace it. So no questions asked warranty. Two things to love about ESEE. Let's get into some knives. Kurt, you have the first one and it's a thick boy.
It is a thick boy. Check this beast out. This is the ESEE Junglas. Junglas. This thing is absolutely remarkable. 16.5 inches long in total length. We have a 10-inch blade. They're normally coated in a powder coat. Yep. Because it's 1095 steel, but we also, excuse me. The powder coat basically keeps the 1095 a little more resistant to rust and all that other stuff. But because it is 1095, it is hair popping sharp.
Oof, that scares me when you do that.
ESEE is a huge fan of micarta. I think that's a great option, especially where they're into the survival knives. If you're out in the jungle and your hands get wet, the micarta really grips. It's easy, it's forgiving. This big old beast could be yours for $185 on the website.
$185 for a chunk of steel. So, question: who's that knife for?
Me, obviously.
It's obviously for you. I had an interesting thought about that because everybody kind of has this thing of like, should I carry an axe or should I carry a machete? And you know, you're in like a kind of more your North American hardwood areas, you probably want an axe. You're in kind of more less dense foliage area like a jungle, you probably want a machete. That I feel like is the perfect hybrid between a machete and an axe because you still have like the thickness of that blade steel, but you have the length of.
Would you say it's a machax?
It could be a machax, yes.
So we're gonna rename the Junglas to the machax.
Machax, the ESEE machax. I love it.
Okay, yeah, that's the ESEE. Let's see. Did I say the price? $185 on the website.
Okay, next up, I've got the ESEE Izula, and I really like the Izula. There's a couple things, we'll get to them. But spec-wise, we have an overall length of 6.25 inches. It has a blade length of 2.875 inches. It is 1095 steel, of course, in that awesome green powder coat, in a drop point configuration, and it comes in at 1.9 ounces, which I think is the kicker with this knife. I feel like the Izula would be a great backpacking knife. Like, this sheath has plenty of lashing points on it. It's got great retention. You could throw this on a pack, not have to worry about it, coming off just due to kind of your good mounting options. And it's a fairly substantial knife for not a lot of weight.
So what was the weight again?
1.9 ounces.
Compared to this, which is over a pound.
Yeah, big difference there. I feel like we got two different people when we're talking about the Junglas versus the Izula
right
here. Something about the Izula, you had mentioned earlier that this is a good, just general EDC fixed blade.
Right.
Have you ever carried an Izula?
I've carried an Izula because we have one in the department that we've done some customization for. I think we dyed the micarta scales. I actually really like the knife. I just don't own one personally. I think it's cool because with the skeletonized, you get the really light skeletonized handle, but if you need to, you can run some paracord through it and get a little more of a grip, and I think we have other stuff for that too.
So speaking of that, so if you want to do the DIY solution, you can do the paracord thing. I think the knife we had around the shop had some paracord on it at one point. So you can do a paracord wrap, but also if you're a person that doesn't really like the skeletonized handle, if it doesn't work well in your hand, you can get these aftermarket micarta scales for them. So it's great with the skeleton knives, like it can work as a neck knife, that type of thing. But if you need a little bit more substance in your hand, you can get these micarta scales, and I think a few different colors. They're at $16.50, so they're not even that expensive. So you buy an Izula for $59.95 for that particular one. You can grab these scales for $16.50, and then you have a little bit more substance in your hand for an Izula. So,
Right.
Or if you want a little bit more handle with scales, you have the next knife.
I sure do. And it is the Izula II, baby. Now, it's basically the Izula, but the handle is just a little bit longer. I can wrap all 4 of my fingers around this, and I still have less than a 3-inch blade. This thing is awesome compared to what Jamie just showed with the Izula and the add-on scales. This one has the full ring at the end of the handle here. Literally the only difference, same blade shape, same sheath actually for the blade. The only difference is handle length, and you've got the full micarta all the way to the butt there.
I think if I wasn't worrying about like weight or size, I do prefer the Izula II, just because it gives you that full hand grip, and it's really comfortable actually.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a 6 3/4 inch knife overall, which I think is huge. And honestly, the Izula is a great knife, but it's more like a 3.5 finger knife for me.
For sure.
Where this one, I get to wrap all the way around, and I still have this butt end. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, my pinky kind of places in that big hole pretty nicely. Plus, you get your jimping and everything else. It's a pretty solid knife. And I personally, I'm not a runner, obviously, but I do like to carry small fixed blades on me often, and I think this is still a good option for a small enough fixed blade that it's concealable, but also a big enough fixed blade that you can get your whole hand on it and go to work.
Right. So we mentioned earlier that sheaths are interchangeable with those. So you can also get aftermarket sheaths with them, right?
That's right. I actually have one right here. So this knife, the Izula II, you can get for $75 on the website. We also have this Armatus carry sheath. We have these for a handful of different knives that we have on the website, but they work really well with the ESEE knives. You got great retention. It's a slim down, maybe not a slim down version, but it's a different version. You can put an additional strap, carry it scout carry, or you can go vertical with a ulti clip. But this is cool. It's got a nice thumb ramp, pops right off. It's really nice. Great retention too.
Yeah.
So Armatus carry sheaths, and they make them for a huge variety of the ESEE knives.
So I think that's one reason why it's on the table is like not only can you get it for the Izula II, but you can also get Armatus carry sheaths for a number of the knives that are on the table. Just only have the one for the Izula II currently on the table. So cool, man. All right. So next up is a little bit different too. This is an interesting thing for ESEE, I think. So this is the ESEE Expat Libertariat. So the Expat line of knives, I think, has 4 separate knives in it currently. And these are kind of geared more towards like jungle survival. So they have this particular one, they have a more machete, and then they have just a larger cleaver too. I think they have a folder that is discontinued as well. So this is the Expat Libertariat, and this was originally designed kind of after a coconut knife. They use kind of in Central and South America. So you can kind of see this is kind of a hybrid between a cleaver and a machete, right? So it does have a decent stock behind it. So it's got some weight. So if you're swinging it, you need to open a coconut. It'll do the trick for you. Spec-wise, it comes in at 14 inches overall. It's got a 9-inch blade. This is a 1075 blade. This is actually made in El Salvador. So most of the knives that you're going to find from ESEE are actually made in the USA, made in Idaho, just to the north of us. There are a few knives, especially in their expat line, that are made in South America, and that will be specifically stated on the listing. So
right.
Otherwise, again, we talk about this cleaver blade. It's got a walnut handle, and it comes in at 13.08 ounces. So I guess 13.1 ounces.
I really like the like hammered texture on the blade.
They had a name for it. I can't quite remember, but yeah, I do like the hammered texture as well. So it comes with this, I guess, vinyl sheath, canvas sheath, not vinyl sheath. So interesting thing from ESEE, this comes in at $52.95, so very affordable if you need something to open the odd coconut or two.
Or watermelon.
Or just general survival, like you're going to be doing a lot of chopping with this. So if you need a chopping, based fixed blade, this could do the trick for you. So the Expat Libertariat, pretty cool little knife.
Ooh, I've got a good one. I have got the ESEE III fixed blade in the new Contour G10 scales and the S35 VN steel. Bam!
You sold a lot of those.
I love these knives. I'm not kidding. I have one very similar to this, and I just love it. It's one of my go-to. Let's talk specs. This is an 8.2 inch knife, full tip to tail. We got a 3.8 inch cutting blade. We also have the S35 VN steel. It's G10 and it comes in at 6 ounces. This to me is one of the best fitting knives in my hand, especially with those new contoured grips. I wish it was a little rougher texture. It's a little smooth, even though it does have these grooves milled in, but that is a solid knife, and especially with the upgraded steel. This one, $124 on the website.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of getting into what we call the bread and butter ESEE knives. So there's like the ESEE 3, 4, 5, 6,
Right.
the series on up, right? And these are kind of the knives that ESEE cut their teeth on.
Right.
So these next few knives, there's not a huge amount of difference between them. It's mainly size based, but we'll run you through them. You own an ESEE 3, right?
Yep, sure do. I've had one for a long time. It's a good knife.
But not the contoured one, though.
Not the contoured and not the S35. I've got a very beat up powder coated blade.
Are you tempted?
I'm tempted. I was tempted the first day I heard they were making S35 steel. So,
all right. Next up, we got an ESEE 4. Very similar to ESEE 3, just in the the 4-inch variant. So overall length of 9 inches, 4.5-inch blade. Again, that 1095 powder coated steel. In a drop point configuration with the micarta handles. Comes in at 7.45 ounces. What can I say about it? You can beat to death these knives and they will keep coming back for more, especially in the 1095 steel. ESEE has kind of stated that their S35 or S30, is it S30 or S35?
S35.
S35. Their S35 VN variants, they're not as tough, but you use them for different things, right? So you got your corrosion resistance, your edge retention, that type of thing. The 1095 ones you're going to be able to beat to heck. So pick your poison. A lot of these, 3, 4, 5, 6 on up variants either come in kind of your contoured S35 version or your more traditional micarta handled and 1095 version. So choose which one works best for you. Interesting thing about ESEE knives is you can buy ESEE knives without sheaths, and then you can buy the sheaths separately. So if you're a person that decided, hey, I want the knife without the sheath, and then I can get a sheath with, let's say, more mounting hardware or a pocket clip or something like that, you can go about doing that. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing ESEE knives, that a lot of these kind of, what do I call them, bread and butter ESEE knives.
Yeah.
Bread and butter ESEE knives have the option to buy them with and without the sheath. Of course, check the website to see if that's available for you. So that's the ESEE 4.
I love the ESEE 4. That, I have the 3, I love it, but man, the 4.
This is like a perfect sized fixed blade.
It really is a perfect size fixed blade. Now, let's talk about an even thicker boy than the Junglas. I have the ESEE 5. Let's just talk 1/4-inch steel.
That's
That's insane. Let's compare to the Junglas on thickness. Oh, dude, it is almost twice as thick.
Yeah.
Anyway, this thing is insane. We have one in the department that, for whatever reason, we were using it for a field test or a review, and now it sits in the department, and every time we get cake, for someone's birthday or whatever, some kind of celebration, we cut the cake with an SE5.
You know what's so funny about that? Is that is literally probably the worst cake knife we could come up with in the department.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like thick, powder coated.
It's 11 inches overall length. It's got a 5 1/4 inch blade, 1095 with the powder coat, micarta, and this comes in at 15.9 ounces. This is a big, heavy knife. You could probably go pry a whole lot of things with this.
Yeah, if you need
It's
a crowbar
insane.
on your side, that'll do the trick for you. Like, you're not gonna break that thing. It's crazy.
It's not a pry bar.
$155 on the website, and you could have your own cake knife SE5.
All right, guess what the next one is, Kurt?
What?
Well, we
The
had the 5.
6.
Oh, wow, you're so good. I have an SE6, and it's kind of just more of the same, but bigger. So you can pretty much just take these knives and tailor them to the size and your use case. So this is the SE6. This is the kind of the contoured micarta version.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh man! So you have the G10, the contoured G10 version. So I think this might be slightly more grippy than the contoured G10 version.
I
So
really like that
check this
knife.
one out after we're done with that. But so this is a SE6. This is 11.75 inches overall. It comes in a 6.5 inch blade, 1095 of course. Drop point. It does have these, again, machined micarta handles, and then it comes in at 13 ounces. So it's a fairly substantial knife, and I feel like we're getting into chopping territory with
for
this
sure.
knife, right? We're kind of getting there with the 5, but it's a little bit, stubby.
Yep.
This is you have a little bit more swing to it, and I know we used this in a camping knife video that we did a few months ago. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. But Zach ended up using it for some chopping tasks, and it performed very well. It is not as thick as the 5, so it will bite into whatever you're chopping probably a little bit more readily than the 5 will. So
Right.
if you're looking to get into chopping territory, but you don't want like a Junglas, check out the SE6. It's probably a good compromise there.
I really like that knife. Proportion-wise, you get an all-around great size for anything survival, outdoors, or just to have a sick fixed blade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet one. Like, it fits in the hand beautifully, and I just wanna chop something with it.
Oh man, I only have one more on the table.
Ooh, tell me more.
This is the ESEE Laser Strike. I wish that there was like laser beams right now shooting out of my fingertips.
You know what I love about the Laser Strike is you have kind of all these kind of benign names for these ESEE knives, like just the SE3, the SE4, the Izula, and then it's like the Laser Strike.
The Laser Strike.
So, well done, ESEE. Well done.
I think this knife is really cool. Let's go over some specs. It's 10 inches overall. You got a 4 3/4 inch cutting blade. It's 1095 steel with the powder coat. It's got the micarta scales. Now, it comes in at 9.5 ounces. Jamie, you were telling me about these scales and what secret is hidden underneath.
So the interesting thing about the Laser Strike is you'll notice on the scales that they're just like a flathead screw. So there's a washer on the sheath. You can remove the scales, and inside I think there's a little ferro rod and some tinder. So you can keep kind of a little fire starting kit in your knife, which I think is kind of cool.
Wait, let's see.
Is it hollow? Can you hear it?
I think they're in there.
Help me! Let me out!
This is actually a really cool knife. It is very similar size to the 5. It's got the long handle of the 5, but the blade of maybe the 4. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got an interesting profile, right? I feel like the front choil is a little bit more usable as to like put your finger in.
Right.
Like if you can kind of do it on the other models, but it's a little bit small. That front choil really works if you want to choke up and kind of use it, I guess.
Right, which I actually find very interesting because the regular handle down here, that fits my hand really, really well. And you still have,
Yeah, you
like,
still
look
hold
at me
it good.
choke up on that. I could probably fit 2 more sausage fingers right there.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a really, really big, thick, all around great use knife. And then, yeah, you just unscrew them and there's goodies inside. So it's like
Love the goodies.
You get extras. You know what I mean?
Love the goodies.
And you can get a laser strike, laser strike for $114 on the website.
Beautiful.
I love it.
All right. Now we come to that time of the show. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Which one would you take home?
Are you kidding me? Who is not going to take this thing home?
I know, man. Like that's just a whole lot of fun right there.
There's just so much activities that could be accomplished with this.
What did you call it earlier? It was the Mashacks? It was the
Mashacks. Yep,
Take the
this is the
Mashacks home.
Mashacks. This thing is sweet, man. I would take this home all day, every day, and I would shave with it, but only random.
I would be careful with the shaving part.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, these knives, all of ESEE's knives, they come so sharp out of the box, it's scary. Especially a big, heavy blade, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What would you take?
Oh, what would I take? I don't know. I thought I had my mind made up, but then I held the 6 in my hand again. And there's something about just the weight of this and how it fits in my hand. Like, I would take this exact knife, I think, home. Because it is beautiful. It's just... What does Zach say? It just wants to go to work.
It just wants to go to work.
So I think that's what I would end up going with. Comes with a nice sheath, too. I really like the sheaths they come up with.
I really like the 6. It's a great knife.
Okay, guys, let us know which one you would want to take home. Comment down below. Thanks for joining us here. If you want to pick up an ESEE, all the links are down below. Obviously, check those out. All the prices that we listed. The website's the final kind of verdict on that one. So check the site for pricing. And yeah, I guess we'll see you on the next one. Hey, you made it to the end screen. Thanks so much for being here. If you're not already, hit that button right over there to subscribe to Blade HQ. If you want to check out some of these great ESEE knives, head on over to bladehq.com. Also, down below there's a great playlist full of all sorts of awesome knife content. We'll catch you on the next one.